So why do I do what I do? Why do I have a YouTube channel? And why have I been making videos for the past 6 months? Well, it's a combination of things. First and foremost, I want to evangelize to save souls. However, I do enjoy making these videos a lot. Okay. And the incentive of making some money, not a lot, but some money is also nice. Okay. So that's why I do what I do. I want to be very clear in why I do this in terms of maybe some reactions or some impressions that others have gotten. And I want to clarify and clear up some things. I am not on here to prove other Christians wrong. Okay. I'm not here to be puffed up and triumphalistic in correcting everybody. As you know, I do a lot of reaction videos, okay, or response videos, whatever you want to call them. And I'm taking non Catholics and their videos and I'm reacting to them. I'm correcting them. I'm debunking them, whatever you want to call it. Now, that can come off as, well, geez, why don't you just focus on your own faith and defending your own faith and doing apologetics with Catholicism? Well, here's the thing. Decades of my life, the majority of my life, were spent as a Protestant, and I was fed with anti Catholic rhetoric. I was told all about the misrepresentations, and I was told about all these caricatures of the Catholic Church that I had to find out on my own were just simply patently false. Okay. So when I do a reaction video, it's specifically to someone who's misrepresenting or caricaturing the Catholic Church and the Catholic faith because I don't want this material, right, to go around unchecked. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to clear up. I want to clarify for other people, for Protestants, for Catholics, for anybody. Okay. Now, I agree it would be better to do it in a dialogue form or fashion with the people that I'm reacting to. Okay. Because they don't really have a chance to defend themselves, at least in the sense of a live setting. They can do a reaction video to me, but I'm probably not worth their time. Okay. But just know that it's not simply to prove people wrong. During my videos, I do get a little agitated sometimes. I just want you to know it's not because of the person, but because of what I'm hearing and seeing. And I'm a human being. So if you've been scandalized or if I've come off as as egotistical, like I'm just trying to prove people wrong, I am very sorry. Please forgive me. I do not want to do that. Like I said, my first priority of this channel or the goal, the end goal here is the salvation of souls. That's it. And if for some reason my channel doesn't do that, then I'll probably shut it down. Like what's the point? You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I made a video on reacting to James White. So Dr. James White, he's a very prominent Protestant, Reformed Baptist, rather anti-Catholic publicly. He's open about that. Okay, we all know that. Well, he went on another person's podcast, and they had an interview of why Protestants are drifting towards Catholicism. Now, I reacted to the whole video. I had 2 videos. Okay, and I wanted to give you guys at least my perspective on why I think James White, yes, James White, will ultimately convert to the Catholic Church. Okay. And that's why I had my video titled the way I did. And it's interesting because a lot of people who viewed and watched my video were calling him a heretic, you know? And in my video, I specifically said if I was asked if James White was a heretic, I would say like Pope Francis when he was on the plane, referring to the priest with the homosexual episode and repenting and all that. I would say, who am I to judge? I would say, who am I to judge? Now, some people, not everyone, some people took that as like I'm just like this soft, indifferent, too loving, lacking justice. I got to call a spade a spade. Okay, let's go to a comment. I blacked out the handle, the name of the person. Okay, and this person absolutely meant well. I can tell just by the way he or she typed. So let's go to this comment. So I gave you the context on Pope Francis when he said, who am I to judge? And then I said in my video, if I was asked if James White was a heretic, I would say the same thing. Who am I to judge? And someone said this, and you can read it from the very top. Quote, if someone asks you if James White is a heretic, you should say, quote, yes, end quote, end quote. I don't know what the quote yes means, but. And then it got 23 likes as of right now, about, I don't know, 18 hours later. And I responded, as you can see, I said, it depends on the person and the context. Also, culpability is not for me to determine. Okay, so I'm going to go right back to my video and then we'll go back to his comment, to mine, his retort rather. So what I've noticed in the Catholic Church, or at least in my experience in Minnesota and in Kansas and then online, okay, so real life and online, is a lot of Catholics, and I know we have a lot of them in contrast with other Christian churches and denominations, but we have this infatuation with labeling people as a heretic, okay? And it goes all the way to the Pope and the bishops and our priests, our local priests and pastors. It's I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I understand it. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not that naive of why people are using that word, right? But what I'm really trying to figure out is why people don't realize how imprudent and how uncharitable that is. Okay? So I think what people really struggle with is they want to tell the truth boldly and defend the faith boldly and with zeal, and even in a sense with charity. Well, that's zeal, but you know what I mean? But what they forget is that you need to do it exercising the virtue of prudence. Okay? A lot of us don't know what prudence is. If I asked you, what is prudence? What would you say? Okay? Is it in the intellect? Is it in the will? Is it in both? Okay? It's using, obviously, with the grace, bound to charity, using discursive reasoning, right? To try to determine what is the right thing to do and achieving the means to do that. Okay? And I think a lot of people don't think about prudence when they talk about things on faith, things regarding the church. They just hastily just say whatever they want. And this infatuation with the word heresy is just crazy. Now, let me back up just a second. Am I saying you can never say the word heresy? No. Or heretic, or even call someone a heretic? No, I'm not saying that. It's got to be prudent in the right context with charity. So, for instance, if someone were to say to me, or ask me rather, was Arius a heretic? I'd probably say yeah. But look, notice the context, right? Arius, how many hundreds of years ago, was deemed and canonically anathematized as a heretic ecclesiastically. Okay? That's a lot different than saying, well, do you think this Protestant over here in public, we're talking in public, right? We're on YouTube. Is that person a heretic? You don't say yes or no unless we have some sort of qualifying context, or we're private and we're being delicate and saying, okay, well, what is a heretic? Because a lot of people don't even know what a heretic is. A lot of people don't even know what material versus formal heresy is. Okay, you need to know those distinctions before you just go around saying, yeah, this person's a heretic, that person's a heretic. Okay, prudence, prudence, prudence. Let's go back to his comment. Okay. So, yeah, I was vague in my answer. Because it does. It depends on the person, the context, and all that stuff. I'm not just going to say yes or no to a question. Well, it wasn't really saying a question. Yeah, it was. If someone asks you if James White is a heretic, you should say yes. Okay, it wasn't a question. So he says, quote, and there's some good stuff in here, so it's not all bad. He says, quote, respectfully, it's simply applying definitions of the church to what he says. You're not determining anything. That's the thing. That's the problem. That's where so he'll talk about prudence actually, but it doesn't matter, right? What the church canonically labels or applies in terms of definition doesn't mean you automatically get to just use that word ubiquitously, haphazardly, no matter what, to whom, from whom, just it's okay. If that person's a bona fide heretic, you get the right to go up to that person and call him or her a formal heretic or a heretic or a material heretic. No, that doesn't give you that right because there's that virtue of prudence. Jesus did a lot of things recorded in the New Testament that you will never get to do because it would be highly imprudent and just flat out wrong. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go back to his comment. He says, you're not determining anything. He's referring to the culpability. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm not. No one is, right? No one really can determine culpability. God can. So his level of culpability isn't the question, he goes on. If it was, I'd agree. Okay. If someone asks if James White is damned for being a heretic or can heretics be saved, we could rightly say that we can determine the fate. Can't determine the fate of specific individuals. So what he's trying to say, and which is he's being right here, is that the culpability is in this dichotomy from labeling a spade or a heretic being a heretic. Calling a spade or labeling a heretic a heretic. So applying a definition to say James White, saying he's a heretic, is not the same as applying culpability or saying that he's damned or he cannot be saved. Well, okay, fine, but that still doesn't give you the right to call him a heretic. It doesn't. It's not prudent. You're going to drive him further away from the Catholic Church. Now, James White, this is a theory. I'm not saying this is what is practically true. James White has debated many Catholic apologists and clergy and theologians, if you will. A lot of them. He's had so much exposure to Catholic individuals through debates and then just through discourse, wherever, through his channel, that what if the main reason that he is not converting, or won't even think about converting, is because of the way he's been treated by Catholics, imprudently and uncharitably. What if some people, okay, I don't know who, has called him a heretic to his face? I don't know about you, but that would make me not want to convert to Catholicism. Okay? Again, just a theory. It's not, bona fide truth. Okay. So he goes on, but if the church says that certain things are heretical and James White espouses those things, you can conclude that he's a heretic. Fine. We're just talking about intuitive conclusions. No problem. Okay? I can think intuitively through canon law what James White is materially without culpability. No problem there. Okay. And then he says, prudentially, you can choose to not answer the question or preface it by explaining what is not to be taken from your answer. That's what I did. I didn't say yes or no. But I see it's not for me to determine as intentionally vague. You or I don't determine what makes someone a heretic. So he's missing the point. He's missing the point. Externally, materially, I know exactly what James White is. I know exactly what he is. Okay? Formally, culpably, I don't know. Now, that all being aside, I am going to, out of love and prudence for this person being made in the image of God, I am not going to label people anything that has a stigma, or not even a stigma, but That's patronizing, right? Same thing goes with a schismatic. I'm not going to call an Eastern Orthodox person a schismatic. I'm just not going to do it. Why would I do that? Now, if I'm in a private setting and I'm talking with my wife or whatever, and she asks me, do you think James White is a heretic? First of all, I would say, who am I to judge? And then I would say, well, based on canon law, materially or externally, he would be deemed maybe as, he'd be deemed or materially, a heretic, right? By the jurisdictional definition of canon law. Okay? Materially. But again, I would never in a group of people say that. I would never in my video in public, which 10,000 people are going to see. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say that. I will say, who am I to judge with Pope Francis? It's just prudence. That's all it is. So it depends on the context. Am I with my wife just having a, informal conversation? No, I'm on YouTube talking about this and, reacting and responding to thousands of people that are going to watch this. So yeah, no, I'm not going to call him what a definition of canon law labels him. Okay? Just for the sake of the virtue of prudence. Okay? All right. Heresy. Okay. A lot of you know this, but some people don't. Heresy. What is heresy? What is it? So a lot of people just use this term and this label like it's nothing. And some people, I would argue, probably don't even know what it means. Okay? So this is canon law, right? Canon 751. It's real short and simple. It's highlighted. There's one word in here that makes all the difference when it comes to heretic and those who are heretics. It says, heresy, quote, heresy is the obstinate denial or obstinate doubt after the reception of baptism of some truth which is to be believed by divine and Catholic faith. The key word here is obstinate. Okay? That has to do with culpability. Now, if you are externally obstinate, right? If you, in public, more than once, more than twice, keep incorrigibly refuting and doubting that which you know to be believed, right? Yes, this canon applies to you. Okay? But remember, canon law is church law, right? This is Catholic canon law of the Roman Rite, if you will. This does not apply to Protestants. Like, we don't have jurisdiction over the Protestants. Now, if you want to apply it to like those outside of the jurisdiction of the Catholic Church who, through no fault of their own, are denying the Catholic faith or culpably denying the Catholic faith, fine. But we can't excommunicate those who aren't in the church. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work like that. So it's like, you're asking me, like, you're saying, James White's a heretic. Your answer should be yes. Oh, let's excommunicate him. Oh, wait, he's not a Catholic. You know what I'm saying? Like the anathemas of Trent, they don't apply to James White. He's not under the jurisdiction of the Council of Trent. Those anathemas, those canons, were for Catholics. They were for Catholics. So, like, if any prelate or laity says X, Y, and Z, let him be anathema. Well, I'm sorry, but James White and most of the Protestants for the last 450 years have never been inside of the realms and the jurisdiction of the Catholic Church for any of this to apply to them. Right? So formal heresy is almost just like right out of the window when you're talking about, is this Protestant a heretic or is that Protestant a heretic? Okay? Because for the past 450 years, 99.9% of Protestants are born into this. Okay? They are born outside of the Catholic Church and baptized, well, imperfectly within the Catholic Church, but they remain outside of the full jurisdiction of the Catholic Church. Okay? Remember, that key word is obstinate. obstinate denial. Obstinate implies culpability. How can you be obstinate about something you don't know? Right? Now, James White, he knows a lot of things about Catholicism. He doesn't know them all, and he gets a lot of them wrong. I don't know if that's intentional or unwittingly, right? I don't know. And you don't know. Okay? So, my point in all of this, right? That H word, right? I mean, I've said it probably 15 times in this video. Get it out of your vocabulary for like 90% of the situations you're in, especially when you're online. Just don't even use it. It doesn't, like, people are infatuated with that word. It's like they're worshiping the word heresy. I mean, you should just have a sign that has the word heresy on it, have an altar, and sacrifice bulls to it. I mean, seriously, that's all I see. This person's a heretic. That person's a heretic. Pope Francis is a heretic. Heretic, 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 heretic. Yeah, it's just like, oh man, it gets old. Choose another word. Just find another word that's synonymous with heretic. Just be original, right? Just be original. I don't know. So yeah, pray for me. I know I'm not perfect. I'm not calling that person out on that comment that I shared. I'm not. That person meant well. I know he did. I know he did. Or she. Probably. I mean, not a lot of females call people heretics. It's kind of a masculine thing. You know, like, I'm all tough. This other dude's a heretic, and I'm gonna mow him down with some truth. But yeah, pray for me. I do. I need prayers. I don't want to be uncharitable. I don't want to be imprudent. I don't want to scandalize anybody. I don't want anyone to think that I'm on this YouTube channel merely to correct and prove people wrong. If that were the case, I would just go to random Seventh-day Adventist and atheist channels or whatever and just randomly react to them. Just say, oh my gosh, how could you believe this? You are so this and that and this and that. Oh my gosh, how could anybody blah, blah, blah? No. When prominent people attack the Catholic Church or misrepresent her, and I think it's prudent to call it out, I'm going to call it out and I'm going to clarify it for your edification and hopefully for that person's conversion. Okay? All right. I think that's all I got. That's why I do what I do. Seriously, heresy, you guys take a day off. Just take a day off. I'm just saying, like, it's not good for you and your soul, okay? It's just not. God's not going to get mad at you for not calling someone a heretic. I promise. Mad in the anthropomorphic sense, right? Okay? Okay. Okay. All right, love you guys. Please like, subscribe, share. Share with everybody. Everybody, you know. Okay, praise be Jesus and Mary.